Hello, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to our webinar today. My name is Carly, and I am a customer success manager here with Verbum, and I'm so glad to have you here with me today. Today, we are diving into the topic of what does the church teach about blank? How to study a topic with Verbum. So before we get started and dive into the content that I've prepared for you today, I do want to go over a few housekeeping items with you as well as get to know you a little bit. So if you don't mind, go ahead and drop into the chat box for me your name. I would love to know where you're viewing from today. It's so fun to see where everyone's tuning in from. And I'd also love to know, what are you primarily using Verbum for? So maybe you're using it for your own personal study, you're leading Bible study, maybe you're in ministry of some kind, or perhaps you're a priest or a deacon. Let me know in the chat. It helps for me to have a little bit of context as we dive into our content for today. All right, so as I mentioned, my name's Carly. I live in the Pacific Northwest area with my husband, and prior to coming to work here with Verbum, I was in ministry for about 7 years in the Seattle Archdiocese. So I started in youth ministry. I moved into young adult faith formation, and also worked with families and family formation. So taught lots of the sacraments, worked with kids doing First Communion, lots of confirmation preparation, really blessed and beautiful season. I'm so grateful for it. It was one of the most exhausting, but also rewarding jobs that I've ever had. So I'm so grateful to have had that experience, and moved into this role after that, and really grateful to be able to work with customers and help them to use the software. And so I hope today that you walk away with just a few more tools in your tool belt to be able to feel equipped to use Verbum for whatever your goals are. So just so you know what to expect during our time together today, I want to let you know that first of all, the training portion of this webinar is going to be about 30 minutes long. That's about how long it takes me to get through what I've prepared for you today. We may end a few minutes early or may go a few minutes over, but that's just the approximate time frame. But I will stick around for questions. So if you've been to any of these live webinars in the past, or maybe you've seen them on our YouTube page or watched a recording of some kind, you'll know that usually they go long over 30 minutes because we have lots of questions, which is awesome. So please drop your questions into the Q&A section so we can get to those all at the end today. I also want to let you know there's a survey to take before you leave today. I ask that you just take a couple of minutes to take it. I will pop it up towards the end. But if you do have to leave before I get to the Q&A, feel free to click the link at the top of the chat box and let me know how these webinars are serving you. We measure your interest level very much based on your participation in that. So not only does it help me to know that you'd like to see more of these types of webinars, but also it helps me to improve future webinars for your benefit. So thank you for taking that in advance. And also you can request topics. So today's topic came out of requests from those surveys, and I have a few more in the coming weeks that have come directly, again, from customer requests. So if there's something you'd like to see, drop it in that chat or that survey so that I know and can come back and review those. Last but not least, I want to let you know that today's webinar is being recorded. So you'll receive a copy of that recording just a few hours after we conclude today. So just keep an eye on your inbox for an email from me with a link to that recording. Because you receive that recording, it's my recommendation to you that this first time through, just sit back and relax. Don't try to follow along with your software. And my reason for that is just that the pace that we move at in these webinars is to walk you through it, but not necessarily at a pace that you're going to be able to follow along. And I want you to be able to ask questions live while we're live. So that's just my recommendation. If that's what's best for you, it's what I've heard from other customers as being the best experience. So it's just my recommendation. All right, with that, I'm going to take a look and see who we have here with us today, and then I'll pull my software up and we'll get started directly into, again, the content. All right, I'm taking a look here. Welcome. Thanks for being here. We've got Jason in Colorado. Daniel, awesome. Thanks for being here. Welcome, Brian. We've got people who are using this for our CIA and personal Bible study. Welcome, Thomas, all the way from Germany. Wow, thanks for joining us today. Dennis in Vancouver. Awesome. I'm not going to read everyone off today just because we've got lots of people, which I love to see, but I want to welcome each one of you and thank you for being here. Okay. Tom says the survey link is a little hard to see. Yes, I have reported that, and I hope to get it fixed. We'll work on that, but I will pop it up for you at the end too, so it's really easy to click on for you. And I do apologize that it is a little bit hard to see there. All right, well, thank you so much again. We're going to go ahead and get started. I see it's super helpful to be able to see your rules and goals for the software. So grateful to see that. We've got people using it for, again, priestly ministry, personal Bible study, RCIA. This is awesome. Hopefully today will serve each one of you as we delve into how to study a topic with Verbum. So for this next section, I'm going to turn my camera off because you'll notice that when I do, your screen gets a little bit larger, which will allow for a better experience for you. I'm going to pull my software up here in just a moment, but I'm also going to go over a few comments with you in terms of just so you know a summary of what to expect during our training today. So by the end of today's webinar, you're going to learn how to use Verbum to research and find church teaching on a topic. You'll also learn how to customize your topic guide, which is the tool that we'll be using to do that research, so that it suits your specific study needs. And then finally, we will look at how to save that new topic layout that you created so that you can revisit your preferences for future study. So this is what we'll be covering today. I'd just like to give you a quick, brief summary before we dive in. I saw a question pop in regarding using chat or Q&A. Thank you for that question, Daniel. For clarity purposes, use Q&A for any questions you'd like me to see at the end today. That way I don't have to sort through chat, but you're also welcome to use the chat throughout today if you'd like to comment at any time, or maybe there's a way you're using the software that I'm not sharing that you'd like to share with others. I love that we do these live because you can learn from each other as well. So feel free to use the chat, but if it's a question you'd like me to see before we leave today, do be sure to use the Q&A. I always check both, but sometimes I miss things if they're in the chat. So that's just a recommendation. Okay, we're going to pull the software up and we're going to dive in today. So as I mentioned, today we're studying a topic in Verbum, and I'm going to walk you through. So there's many ways that you can study topics with the software, and you may have played around with it, or maybe you're a longtime user of Verbum, so you know some ways that you are already using the software, but I'm going to walk you through one method that I find really helpful to find what the church teaches on any given topic. So we're going to use the topic guide today. The topic guide is available in your guides and workflows here on the left. So I'm going to navigate over here to my guides and workflows, and you may see the topic guide at the top here. This is a default setting, but if you for some reason have moved it or it doesn't appear here, you can always type in here topic guide and it will pop up. Go ahead and open that up, and this is what it will look like. Okay, so here is our topic guide. The topic guide allows you to search your library and offers you organized results based on a topic or concept that you type in. So there's lots of different sections in the topic guide that can be helpful. We will look at what those are here today. We'll just be focusing on a handful of them, just so you're aware. But I will share with you this link if you would like to. I'm just going to pop it in here so I don't forget to share it later. But this, if you'd like to learn more about some of the topics that the sections that we don't end up covering today, you can click this link and save it. This will show you more information about the topic guide and some of the sections we won't necessarily have time for today. So you can explore that, or you can play around with the topic guide yourself and check it out in real time. Okay, so you can type any topic into the search here at the very top, and today we will just go ahead and search the sacrament of confirmation. So I've already typed it in here. I'm just going to go ahead and hit enter, and it will do this search for me. So here again, we see this organized list of resources for this topic of study. So you may, if you go to open up your topic guide, it may look a little bit different than mine in terms of ordering of these sections. You can order them based on your own preferences. This is how I prefer to order them because I use these top 5 sections that we'll be talking about today: the topic section, the Catholic Topical Index, and then these 3 collections, one on the Catechism, one on church documents, and one on church fathers, the most when I'm doing a topic guide or when I'm utilizing the topic guide. So you may find these sections lower down on the list. Just know that you can move these sections around just by clicking and dragging them to different sections based on your preference. You may prefer the default settings in Verbum. That's great. But if you do like how I have mine set up, or you have a different preferred way to set it up, just know that it is editable and you can set it up however you'd like to. So let's talk about some of these top 5 sections that I use when searching and studying a topic in Verbum. So let's start with the top. This first top section here is our topic section. So this heading is going to provide you with a definition on whatever topic you're studying and links to the different dictionaries that you have in your library on that topic. So as I expand this, you'll notice that I have my Catholic Bible dictionary here. This is one of my preferred dictionaries since I've prioritized it. And on that note, if you're not familiar with prioritizing your resources, do let me know. We can cover that at the end. But your results here will show up based on your prioritization. So here is the dictionary that I've prioritized. So it links me to a definition of the sacrament of confirmation here, which I can click and open to get a brief definition. The topic section is also going to link you to things like the fact book. I don't use the fact book as regularly. I lean towards some of my other resources, but it is there for you and it's linked here, and anything else that might be applicable just for some initial study of the topic. So I always like to check the topic section primarily for a quick definition before I move on to the next section, which is the Catholic Topical Index. Let's take a look at that section next. This is one of my favorite tools in Verbum. If you have never used the Catholic Topical Index, this is going to be truly a gift to you. You'll find it to be really helpful as you study any topic in the software. Just so you know, the Catholic Topical Index can also be used for scripture references as well. But today we're talking about topical resources or subjects. But if you're curious about that, do let me know at the end. We can talk about that as well. So let's go ahead and minimize this section. I like to keep all of these sections closed. And on that note, if you open your topic guide and they're all open, you don't see them minimized like this. Maybe it looks like this when you open it up. You can just right click on any one of the sections and select collapse all, and it will collapse them. This allows you to have a cleaner view in my opinion. This is my preference. So it's very much up to you. Okay, let's look at the Catholic Topical Index next. As I mentioned, let's expand that section. So the Catholic Topical Index will list any topics related. Today, since I was very specific in my search, it just has one option, but sometimes if you search other topics, it will have many, and you can expand any one of them. So let's go ahead and expand this one. Now you'll notice the Catholic Topical Index is going to show me resources and include all the links related to sacred scripture, Catholic Church teachings, writings of the Church Fathers, and more. So here at the top, you'll notice I have all of my links to sacred scripture that reference the sacrament of confirmation. So for example, I can click on this here. I know Acts 2 is the first Pentecost. I can click on this and it's going to link me directly to this reference. And so I can easily click and open, but anything else in the Old Testament version or the New Testament related to the sacrament of confirmation is going to be linked here. Right below our sacred scripture, we have church teaching. So this is going to link me to the Catechism articles on confirmation. I can hover over them to see a brief preview. So this, for example, this first one here is going to talk about all 3 sacraments of Christian initiation, of course, baptism, Eucharist, and confirmation. As I hover over this one, it talks about the symbolism of the anointing and what that looks like. Again, as I hover over them, I can see these different sections on church teaching, and I can click on any one of them to open and study further, just like this. It will link me to that article. Here are other documents on church teaching as well. We have some papal documents listed. below here as well. Below that, we have Canon Law. So you can hover over any one of these. It will talk about um, all the information related to canon law on the celebration of confirmation. So I can go ahead and click on this and read through this section as well. Below canon law, it will link me to any ecclesiastical writers. So lots of fathers of the church here. I can hover again over any one of them. Here we see St. Ambrose talking about that seal of confirmation here in this section. So I love that, again, the Catholic Topical Index is going to link me to not only sacred scripture and church teaching, but also any writings of the church fathers that I have in my library that will be applicable to this study. So it's going to link anything that you have in your library that would be helpful to you as you study church teaching in our Catholic Topical Index. Let's go ahead and minimize this section. We can talk more about this in the Q&A. If you have additional questions, always happy to cover those. I want to show you these 3 sections that I use next. So these are the collections on the Catechism, church documents, and church fathers. So the collection section is going to search your whole library. So it's similar to the Catholic Topical Index. However, I like to have these as an additional reference because it splits it up a little bit differently, and I am able to see a little bit larger preview. So just depending on how in-depth of a study I am doing on a particular topic, I may move into these collections as well. Sometimes the Catholic Topical Index is sufficient for me, but sometimes I want to go a little bit deeper or just be able to have it in a different view. So let me show you each of these sections. For example, the collection section on the Catechism, as I expand it, you can see these are going to be similar, or there's going to be the same articles that I would have seen in my Catholic Topical Index, but you'll notice they're listed a little bit differently, and it's going to be the entirety of the article. So I can hover over it. It gives me the whole article here, and I can click and open it versus just an individual resource. So for example, I can click this and read that whole article. The other thing I like about the collections versus the Catholic Topical Index, if I'm going deeper, is that you can sort it differently. So you can have it sorted by book, for example, and then I can see there's 23 articles, but they're all into 2 books. So here now I can see this is going to give me resources from the Catechism of the Catechism of the Catholic Church, just like I saw in my Catholic Topical Index, but also if I'm interested, I can explore the Catechism of the Council of Trent as well. So I can expand that to see what these articles may offer in terms of some of the history. So again, the collections on the Catechism is going to link both of those, whereas in our Catholic Topical Index, we only saw the articles from the Catechism of the Catholic Church and then some additional papal documents, etc. Below our collections on the Catechism, we have our church documents. This is where we'll see our papal documents, right? So you can, again, see them by article. You can see them by book as well. So here it's listed. We have the Canon Law is what we'll find in here, as well as some of the papal encyclicals, etc. So you can expand those. There's 8 books here. I can click more to see more, and they'll list them all. And then finally, down here in this last collection, this is the Church Fathers collection. So as I expand this, again, similarly, it allows you to have see it in different views. So I have these different articles listed. I can list it by book, so you can see the different books that you have available. Now, the results that you see in these different collections, as well as in your Catholic Topical Index, will be based on the resources that you own in your library. So again, if you don't have very many patristic or church father resources, they won't appear here. It will just appear to be whatever resources you have. So this is the power of our guides. Our guides will do those searches for you and pull them all together into this section, but it's, again, going to be powered by what you currently own in your library. So those are the 3 sections on collections. that you have available here. So you can see in this search, granted, we didn't go too in depth today because I'm showing you the process of how to do that study. But you can see that with just a few sections in my topic guide here, I'm able to do a really in-depth search and study and find the church teaching quickly from these different sections. Now, there may be other resources in your library that speak to these topics as well, that are outside of these collections. And so you can explore some of these other sections for that. But one of my favorite things to do is to pull some of my favorite resources together into my own collections. And if you have not explored collections in the past, I did a webinar. My most recent webinar specifically was on collections and how to create those. And I'm happy to provide you with a recording of that if you're interested. And hopefully I'll offer it again live sometime in the future. But creating your own collections can allow you to pull from different types of authors that you love and you trust, and maybe are some of your favorites. You can also search your library as well, of course. But for example, there is one author. I love to always check his resources, especially when I'm doing any sacramental research. I found him to be very healing in my own faith journey. And I also have found him to be really helpful in my ministry when I was in ministry. And that's Dr. Bob Schuchts. He has some really great books. He only has a few books, but they are really great books. And I like to reference them. And I know he has one book in particular called Be Transformed that talks about the sacraments. So you can add collections to your topic guide if you'd like to search beyond just church documents, catechisms, church fathers, etc. And so I'm going to walk you through the process of doing that. If you have different authors, for example, like Bob Schuchts, or another one that I really love, Peter Kreeft. He is excellent at breaking down some of the more complicated teachings of the church and making them so accessible. Truly love his writing. And so there may be people like that you would like to use as a reference point when studying a topic. And the easiest way that I have found to do that is to create collections and add them to this section. So let me walk you through how to add a collection to your topic guide. So to do that, there's this button here at the top, this add button, and you can just select collections here. You can scroll through and you can also remove sections from your guide as well. So just so you know, if there's a section you never use, you always just come here and click X to remove it. And you can always add it back. It will appear here. But let's go ahead and select collections here. It will add it to the very bottom for me. So here it is. I can go ahead and drag it and move it up farther if I want to. Let's, for example, put it right below my church fathers here. Now, currently it's set to all resources, but I want to select a specific collection that I've created based on Bob Schuchts being the author. That's the example I'm going to use today. So I'm just going to go to settings here. And here you can see all of my collections. Now, these collections will be based on ones I've created, but you'll also notice you can scroll down, where you can see, sorry about that, clicked the wrong thing. You can scroll down here and you can see there's different collections that Verbum has put together for you. So if you haven't created your own collections, but you want to explore what other types of series or collections they have, you can add those as well. But up here are my collections. So here's my Bob Schuchts collection. This is pulling all of his books that he's authored that I own in my library into one section. I can click on it and it adds it right here for me. So now anytime I open my topic guide in the future, this collection will be available to me. So if you add this into your topic guide, it'll be here. You can always remove them, but you could add just a handful of your favorite resources that you can always explore. But you'll notice here, as I expand this, it is linked here, his book, Be Transformed, on the Healing Power of the Sacraments. And he talks about confirmation here twice. He has two sections. He talks about it in this book. So I can click on these and link right to it. If there's nothing in his collection or in his books linked to that topic, no results will pop up. But if there are results, of course, they will appear here. So I do love to customize my topic guide by adding different collections of resources that I use with frequency. So this way I can really take advantage of my topic guide as a whole and use it both for searching my library as well as the church documents and church fathers, etc. So this is how you can go ahead and add those collections. A couple other things I want to talk about before we get to any questions that you may have about this, and we'll have plenty of time for questions today, is when you're doing a topic study. So I know we have a handful of, I noticed in the chat, we had a handful of deacons, we had some priests, some people in RCIA, etc. You're likely doing this topic study because you're putting together some sort of presentation, whether it's a homily, you're putting together a talk for ministry, etc. You likely are collecting these sources, and maybe you are collecting different quotes, etc., that you want to use and reference. And so I would always recommend to have your notes tool open when you are doing this type of study. So the notes tool here on the left is in the toolbox. You likely already use this if you're familiar with Verbum, but if you don't, I want to show you here. It's here at the top. You can open the notes tool and have it open right next to your topic guide. So anytime I'm doing a topic study, if I'm prepping for something that I'm going to present, or if I'm just doing my own personal study and I want to save these results, I'm going to create a notebook on that topic. So I'm going to navigate over to the notebooks here in my notes tool, click the plus sign, and create a notebook here. Now, if you've taken or if you've viewed any of my notes tutorials in the past, you'll know that if you have that notebook open and you take highlights or notes, once you have that open, any highlights and notes you take will automatically be populated there. So as you're doing that topic study and you're trying to collect that research, highly recommend open that notebook right away, go ahead and title it, and then start to take those highlights and notes on the text, for example, like this. You can go ahead and take a highlight, and it will save it there in that notebook for your future reference. So this allows you to pull all of that research into one place as you're doing that topic study. Now, in the next couple of weeks, I want to let you know that some of the topics that I'll be covering, and I'll share links to those webinars here that are upcoming in just a couple of minutes when we conclude. But two of the things that I'm covering is going to be on the topic of, one of them is going to be on using Verbum to organize and prepare your homilies. And this can also be helpful to you even if you are not writing homilies, but you're in ministry of some kind and you want to use the homily manager for preparing your talks. I will share that with you to register for if you're interested. And the other one is going to be on creating a polished presentation with Verbum. Now, both of these, it's going to be helpful to know how to use the topic guide to search, of course, for a topic and to prepare your notes to pull into and use in those tools. Our notebooks tool works really seamlessly with our homily builder. And so I'll walk you through all of that preparation process in the next few weeks if you're interested. But I just want to let you know, for those of you who are here who are in ministry of any kind, or if you're just looking to be able to create presentations to share, if you're leading a Bible study, etc., the future webinars can be very relevant and helpful to you as well. So stick around. Again, I will share those here in a few moments. So this is what I wanted to show you so far. The last thing I want to show you before we get to all of your questions that you may have on this topic is how to save this. So my recommendation to you, I'm going to go ahead and close these tabs. First of all, these are specific resources based on this topic, but you can save layouts so that, for example, if you frequently use the topic guide, plus you want to have your notes open so that you can jump right back to this in the future, you can go ahead and let's close and reopen our topic guide really quickly. So it's a blank topic guide. you can open the topic guide, have your notes right behind it, and you can save it just like this. Maybe there's other tools that you want to have open for your own personal study. You can absolutely open up whatever tools you'd like to. And you may have seen me offer this recommendation in the past in other webinars if you've been to them, but I always recommend saving layouts. So if you go to your layouts here at the bottom left screen, you can go to this. This is our current snapshot here. We can save this as a named layout. So I'm going to save this as my topic study. And maybe I'll title it my topic study, because you'll notice here in the quick start layouts, there is a topic study, which you can use. This is a great topic study as well. It's a little bit different. It links you to different types of tools, so you're free to explore that if you'd like to. I'm just showing you today my preferred topic study. Mine is to have my notes and my topic guide open. So now as I close all of this, if I go back to my layouts here, I can scroll down and you'll notice under my save layouts, I have my topic study here. I can open it up. It'll open me to my topic guide with my notes right behind it, and I can start working on it. Now, again, your preferred layout might be a little bit different. Maybe there's an additional tool you want to have open. Maybe it's maybe you don't prefer to save it as a layout and you'll just open your topic guide and get started from there. But again, the topic guide is what I would recommend when you're doing any sort of topic study to navigate through and use those different sections. It allows you the most extensive, I would say, ability to study. You can open up the Catholic Topical Index independently of the topic guide, but like I said, I like to use those additional collections from church documents, etc. So this is my preferred way to find out what the church teaches about any given topic using Verbum. So I hope this was helpful to you today. I hope that you learned something and you're going to be able to walk away with some additional ways to use the software for your own study. We will get to all questions here in just a moment. But before we do, I want to go over a few closing comments with you just so you know what to expect in terms of follow-up today. And then we will again get to any questions that you may have. So first of all, for those of you who joined us late today, and also for those of you who were here at the beginning, I'll just remind you that today's webinar was recorded. So you'll receive a copy of that recording just in a few hours after we conclude today. So keep an eye on your email. You can rewatch that recording, play, pause, practice with the recording. And if there's any questions that you can just, as you start to play around with it, you can just reply to my email and send any questions my way. I'm happy to help. Please do take the survey before you leave today. I'm going to pop it up right now for you so you can take it if you'd like to. If you have to leave, feel free to take it now. I'll also pop it up at the end of the Q&A. So if you're going to stick around, no need to click it now. But for those of you who do want to take off, here is that link. Go ahead and click on it. And it will just open a separate tab and help you to navigate through those questions. One note I will make about those questions. There's one question, I just made a comment on it because in previous webinars, there's been a little confusion around it. There's one question that says something to the extent of, how likely would you be to recommend this to another Verbum user? Rate it 1 through 10. Please rate it based on if you think it would be helpful to another Verbum user, not necessarily if you know someone else. Sometimes we have people who put a low number and they say, well, I wouldn't recommend it because I don't know anyone. But the reality is that we do want to be able to assess accurately if it was helpful to you as a Verbum user. So please rate it accordingly. Last comment for you today, before I get to your questions. I always share this number, and I'm going to go to one more slide here today. Couple things I want to share with you. So this phone number here at the bottom, the 888-918-0768, this will get you to our library specialists, and they can help you to assess your library. For example, perhaps you start to use the topic guide and you find you don't have the resources that you would like to have in terms of church documents, or maybe you have all the resources in terms of catechism, etc., but you're finding you're not having many resources in terms of patristics and church fathers, and you'd like to have more resources. They can guide you through what types of editions might be helpful. I also put this here, this Peter Kreeft bundle. He has some awesome resources, and I love him for topical studies because he's so accessible. So if you're interested in adding it, I asked them to offer a special discount to just our webinar viewers today. So if you call them, you're interested in that, they'll give you a discount on his resources. But if you're not interested in his, I just want to let you know that there are options to add today. There's two things going on right now, one through the end of the week and one through the end of the month. The first one through the end of the week is you can upgrade your Verbum at a 20% discount. You can call them, talk them through, they can walk you through that process, but it's only available through the end of this week. And the second one is there's some awesome deals going on right now on our legacy libraries. If you're not familiar with legacy libraries, what they are is each time we come out with a new version of Verbum, there's a new library attached to it. So a new set of books. So legacy libraries are older sets of books so that you may not currently have in your library, but you can get them at a very significant discount. And they're running some awesome deals on that. Our library specialists can help you to assess, for example, if there's a specific commentary you've been wanting or a specific resource, call them and say, is this in any of the legacy libraries? And what does that process look like? Because it won't just give you that one resource, but it'll give you a bundle. So if you're interested, if you're in a place that you're looking to add, it's a great time to give them a call because they're able to take a look at your library and walk you through that. So I just wanted to say that since we are in a short time frame that those are available for you. So let's jump to your questions. Let's get through all of those and we walk through that. Okay, Tom says, will the topical index only display the resources that I have in my particular library, or will it provide the resources even if I don't have them? So it's only going to show what you have in your library, Tom. So if you, for example, don't have a lot of patristics or church fathers, you're only going to see the ones that you have in your library. Okay. Daniel asked the same question there. Let me know if there's any clarification that either of you need on that question. But yes, so that's why I say if you open up your Catholic Topical Index and you start to study some topics and you're seeing some holes, just call our library specialist about that. That phone number is there. They can make some recommendations. They can say this particular package, like if your goal is to get church fathers, this is what I'd recommend at the lowest price point, etc. Also, make sure you tell them you came to the webinar to receive the discounts on, for example, the Peter Kreeft bundle, or if there's another resource that they can offer a discount, they will. Okay, then Tom asks, he says, you mentioned in coverage of collections, if you don't have the resources, it will not be referenced. Okay, sorry. That was a follow-up to your question. Okay, great. Taking a look to see if any other questions came through. Let's see here. Okay, Daniel says, how do you know if you have holes? How would you know if you don't have what you don't have if it's not shown up? Great question. So you'll see, for example, if you expand one of the sections and you see one resource. So let me go back to my topic guide here. If you, for example, expand your church documents collections and you don't see anything here, or you're in your Catholic Topical Index and you expand this and you don't see any resources under church teaching or canon law, etc., you'll know these headings will be here, but it won't show any results, or it'll just show minimal results. And if you're ever curious, like, do I have, are there more resources available on this specific topic? That will be something that you could reach out and ask the library specialist about as well. Like, how do I power this better? How do I make sure that I have a good number of church documents? Because based on the package that you purchase, it will vary. Also, as I mentioned, this is why the legacy libraries are so key. Different years will prioritize different types of, or different versions will prioritize different types of things. You'll always have a mix of church fathers or church documents, etc., based on the package that you purchase, but it will differ based on the version. So that's a great way to add a bulk number of resources to power your tools. So you're not having to buy one commentary or one church document at a time, but you can actually bundle them and it's a much lower price point. So that's why I highlight the the legacy libraries. I think it's a lesser known fact, but it's a great way to boost your resources. So here, this phone number, if you're interested in checking them out or talking with anyone about it, that is there. Okay, I promised you all that I would share with you the future webinars. So I'm going to share those now. And then if there's other questions, I'll get to those. So next week, I am offering a webinar on using Verbum to organize and prepare your homilies. So for those of you who are deacons and priests, we'll be exploring the homily manager. But even if you are not a deacon or priest, I invite you to come because it may be applicable to you, especially if you are wanting to prepare any sort of presentations in the software or collect them into a space. It's a great opportunity for you to learn that as well. So that link is in the chat. If you'd like to jump in on it, feel free to register. And then the second one is called Create a Polished Presentation with Verbum. This one, I'm going to walk through the homily, moving from the homily manager to the homily builder. Now, the homily builder, one of the things I love that they title these in some sense. I love that they title them homily manager and homily builder because they are a gift to our priests and deacons. But in some ways, as somebody who worked for the church for many years, knowing how many presentations I put together and how many slideshows I put together for different talks that I gave, etc., this tool is so helpful for you, even if you are not a priest or a deacon, but you are hoping to put together slideshow presentations. And in fact, many of our priests don't use the homily builder as much, but other people use it even more because you can use slideshows, but they don't have to be a slideshow. So I guess what I'm trying to say is whether you're a priest or you're a lay person, you're an administrator of some kind, if you'd like to learn more about those tools to see if it might be helpful to you, this is not exclusive and not an exclusive training. So I'd love to see you at those. So I just dropped those two in the chat. If you're interested in jumping in on them, feel free to register. Would love to see you there. Okay, jumping back to the Q&A here, I saw one come through. Okay, was there already a webinar about creating collections? It's a little daunting to create collections of a whole library. I watched the Verbum tutorial, but was wondering if there's some handy ways to simplify the process. Yes, so I offered one last time on collections. Let me grab the recording for you so you can take a look at it. But feel free to reach out to me if you have questions as a follow-up. Also, if you'd like to know more information or if there's another way that I can present it to make it even easier, I'm always happy to do follow-up presentations. So drop in that survey before you leave today, requests. I'd love to know what they are so that I can put those together so that I know what would be truly helpful. So I'm going to grab that recording for you. One moment. Okay, so this recording again is on, it's called Refine Your Research with Verbum, and it's on creating collections. So I'm putting this link here in the chat if anyone would like to jump in and see that recording. All right. Great. Well, thank you all for coming today. I'm not seeing additional questions, but I'm going to scroll through and double check. If there's any way that I can serve you, you can feel free to reach out to me. You'll have my email in just a few hours once you receive that recording. You can feel free to reply as you start to play around with this topical study in Verbum. If there's any questions that you have, I'm going to pop up the survey here for you one more time as well. Please do take it before you leave. Let me know how today's webinar served you. Request future topics. I'd love to know what they are. And again, your feedback is super essential. I do read every single response, so I want to assure you of that. I know sometimes it seems like maybe it's a waste of time or you don't have something specific to add, but I will tell you that it really helps me out to hear from you and to have as many people respond as possible because it shows your interest in this type of thing. So if you're loving these webinars, please do respond. I hope to be able to continue to offer them and would love to hear from you. So thank you so much. Awesome. Well, have a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks, Jason. So glad this was helpful. Really hope to see you all at another webinar down the road. Feel free to jump in on those ones that I shared, and we'll continue to add additional topics I am waiting to see more surveys responses as well to make sure that I get topics that are relevant to you. So that is my goal. I'm trying to plan these out as we go so that I really can address the questions that those of you who are engaged and coming and wanting more, I want to answer your questions. So let me know what those topics are in that survey. Hope to see you at a future webinar soon. And thank you so much for being here. God bless you all. Have a wonderful, blessed beginning to your Lent as well. Tomorrow's Ash Wednesday. So I will be saying a prayer as we conclude today for all of you that you have a beautiful, blessed, and holy Lent. So say a prayer for me as well if you think of it. And I hope to connect with you at some point down the road. God bless you.